Welcome to a brand new format of the Blue Moon podcast. This is Agree to Disagree, where we're going to drill down into some of the hottest takes around Manchester City and see who's really, deep down, a massive wrong'un with terrible opinions. Or we'll all actually just agree and it'll be a pretty boring episode. But either way, let's find out. I'm David Mooney. Joining me today, we've got Dan Burke.
Hello.
Don Farrell.
Hello.
And Kieran Murray.
Hiya.
That was a nice hire. Thank you for a nice soft tone there.
Well, both hellos were quite brutal and aggressive, and I thought I was going to die a little bit.
Yeah, just calm it down a little bit to ease us in. Now, these guys have all got drinks in hand. I'm going to read out some statements, and they're going to take a drink if they agree with it. So then we'll try and work out kind of why they think that. First off, what are we all drinking today? Dan, what are you on?
Just classic water.
Classic water.
Yeah, I feel like I might be like Guardiola when we concede a goal. It's just necking from it at some point. But
Excellent. Dom, what are you on?
I've got a cup of tea, but that might not last, and I've got a water. So
Excellent.
I'm well
mixing your drinks is famously a dangerous thing to do. So, do be careful with that one. Kieran, what are you having?
Well, for the task at hand, I've got a nice big pint of Vimto.
Excellent.
Lovely. But then just to quench me thirst as we go, I've also got a water. So one's for
Dom's taking a drink, so he agrees with that.
One's for sipping, one's for supping.
Yeah, so we've got some statements here to dig us into the season preview for this episode. So, nice and simply, take a sip. If you... Kieran's going already, so we're...
Sorry.
Are you going early on this one before you even know what it is? Or?
Yeah, fuck it.
Okay, well, let's find out then. Because the first statement is Manchester City's transfer business this summer has not been good enough. Take a sip if you agree. Oh, we've got a split in the camp already. Oh, Dom, has Dom gone for that one as well?
Just about, yeah.
Okay, so Dom and Dan both taken a drink. Kieran hasn't. So, Dan, you were first in there. Not been good enough this summer. Why not?
well, at the time of recording, we've not got a right back, have we? I mean, Rico Lewis accepted and Matheus Nunes, I suppose, accepted. But I don't want to go into the season with those two as our right back options again. I think the other signings have been good, to be fair. You know, Cherki is excited. I think it's one that could go either way. I think Reinders, whatever we're saying, I think he could be one of those that like is looked back on as like a masterstroke, like kind of Bernardo Silva signing where he spends a few years at the club and is just really consistent. And Ike Nori, I really like that signing as well. But, you know, right back is a glaring deficiency of the squad that has not been addressed, and I don't understand why yet.
Yeah, Dom, you tentatively agreed, and I'm wondering if this is because a lot of City's business was done early in the summer, and so now everybody else is kind of doing theirs. The narrative has kind of taken over that that City have been left behind, and actually they did a lot of business before the Club World Cup.
Yeah, that's fair. I was actually saying to someone at work that if we were talking about like various transfer stuff we'll be covering, it just feels like Liverpool, and particularly Liverpool going after Isak, just feels like it's like this black hole, this vortex that sucked all of the transfer news into it, and that just is dominated so much. So we're recording this just after City have signed James Trafford. I think making James Trafford the most expensive English goalie of all time. And I don't know, maybe it's the time of day they announced it at City 10 to, like around tea time. That just didn't seem to touch the sides in terms of, like, you know, making any sort of, you know, moving the needle news-wise. And obviously some of that is because we don't base transfer announcements on the club announcement. We all go off, here we goes nowadays. But I do think, like, just it would be nice to have a right-back. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they went all this time without a left-back. And now Ryan Nori's arrived. It's like, yeah, but there is a catch. Because if you ask Rico Lewis, or certainly Matheus Nunes, what they think they are, they'd say they're a midfielder. The other thing is also with the transfer business, and I know this probably goes back to January and like the clamour to try and get people in. They have ended up with this big squad. And people just like, you know, a lot of people online just like the idea of their team buying footballers. It's exciting. It's wish fulfillment. It's like, oh, this guy could be great. This guy's going to be amazing. Before you've seen him like have a stinker away at Sunderland, they can just be the best footballer ever, and you've got nothing to disprove that. So people love signings, but they've got too many players, and so that's one thing I don't like about the business, is it's gone against everything that's happened in the Guardiola era. Guardiola's come back to pre-season with more footballers than he would like, and everything about City has worked over the past decade through giving Pep what he wants. I think it's a bit of a mad time to divert from that now. And obviously, all the other teams know they want to shift Grealish, they want to shift Phillips, they want to shift other players. But that means City are going to get pushed deep into the window before they can move them on. So you'll have this period, the first couple of weeks, where there will be people getting left out of matchday squads, and we know that's like a massive trauma for Pep to do. So yeah, I think I'd agree. Like with Reinders, a lot of the signings look good, but the overall thing just looks a little bit like the Homer Simpson design car at the moment.
Yeah,
loads of bits. Yeah.
Yeah, but Kieran, you're happy with it all. How are you feeling about it all?
Well, I don't know how well this format's going to work, because those two arguments that Dan and Dom have just given me basically have convinced me to change my mind. So I'm going to take a bit guzzle here. I think it's just what you were saying about how early on in the window things were sorted, and I felt comfortable and I felt confident. I was happy with it. I know a lot of it was done in preparation for the Club World Cup, and that's why they were so eager to get those players over the line. But I thought Cherky looked brilliant. I'm really, really hopeful about Reinders. As the lads have been saying, Nori looks absolutely quality out there on the left. And again, it goes without saying that we do need to address the right back area.
What I would say in kind of contrast to the right back area is I know that, like, again, fans will go into the season going, oh, well, they need to strengthen at right back. They've done that at left back for year after year after year, and they've won the title year after year after year. It hasn't been a major issue to the squad achieving its goals.
But can I just throw into that? And I know he sort of very quickly became persona non grata, but the balance to that was Kyle Walker being possibly the best right back the Premier League's ever seen, and being able to fill so many gaps in terms of his recovery pace, turn it into a back three at times. It's asking a lot of, if we're saying that they won the league loads without a left back, they can do it without a right back. I think you're asking an awful lot of Ryan Aït-Nouri to be what Kyle Walker was in terms of just making everything work.
They've got so many centre-backs that I wouldn't be against them trying what they did in the treble season and having the kind of right-back be a centre-back that steps into midfield again. That worked really well and then was kind of abandoned for the last 2 seasons, which I didn't really understand why that was. But I think, like, my feelings about the whole transfer business at the moment, I'll be honest, I'm shitting myself about Liverpool at the moment, because I think they've done so well to strengthen their squad from a position of strength that I don't see anyone beating them to the title. And even Arsenal, they've got like Gyökeres, that's like the signing that seems to have really addressed their main flaw. Like, it looks like we're the third best team in the league again, which is not the end of the world, but not how I wanted to feel going into the season. I wanted to feel a bit more confident, and maybe come the end of the window I will, but at the moment I don't feel great about the prospects for the title and what have you.
Yeah, you guys are not really helping me change Kieran's mind here from not joining you in the taking a sip camp.
I suppose we addressed the coaching staff issue, and I think that might kind of pay dividends. It's going to be interesting, and there were signs. And I know we went out pretty tragically in the end of the Club World Cup, but those matches that I suppose I was quite excited about the transfer business enough that I ended up tuning into some of those games when I thought it was just going to be a write-off, that I would have no interest in it whatsoever. So when City were playing, I tried to catch it, or at least the highlights, and there was an intensity and there was different looking shapes, and there seemed to be fire in the bellies again. So those few signings, Rodri's return, and then the backroom staff, I think there are more reasons to be optimistic than maybe pessimistic on it. Plus, the likes of Marmoush and things who we signed last year will have embedded and be bedded in a little bit more. God knows what's going to happen with Nico Gonzalez, but he'll be the forgotten man, I think.
Right back.
But right back, yes, we've sorted it.
There you go. Yeah. Right, drinks in hand then, because the next statement is Manchester City will be title winners at the end of the season. Take a sip if you agree. Unanimously no. Kieran, I'll come to you first, because Dan's already spoken about thinking about Liverpool's prospects and Arsenal's prospects. Are they the same fears for you?
Yeah, Liverpool mainly. When you think about what Arne Slot managed to do last season with basically inheriting a squad and keeping it as was, and now he spent well, and their signings look dead impressive. they're just going to be they're going to be hard to compete with. They looked at times last season just absolutely magnificent, and the two games against City, you didn't feel like we had a hope in hell. And I know there were mitigating factors, and we had lost Rodri, and last season was basically a write-off form wise. But it was just a matter of fact that they were going to turn up to the Etihad and win. It was just that's the way it was. And when you factor the fear factor in, if you guess, I guess, when they've strengthened as they have, and they're such a force to be reckoned with, we're never ever going to win at Anfield anyway. You just look at them and go, yeah, they were strong to begin with. They're even stronger now, and they have to be. They're a force to be reckoned with that we have to be a bit frightened of, I think.
Yeah. Dan, there was... I mean, I know City go out of the Club World Cup quite tamely in the end, but there was progress from last season with new players embedded in. There was a lot of good signs in the Juventus game, for instance. The first half against Al Hilal were pretty damn good. You've still got issues to iron out there, but that maybe suggests City are not going to be anywhere near as bad as they were last season. And there's other factors with Liverpool bringing players in. They've got to be bedded in. Arsenal got to bed the players in, and Arsenal, as much as they've been there and thereabouts, they haven't got over the line as a title winner yet. So there's still... City are still in the race by every stretch of the imagination, aren't they? It's just that maybe getting over the line might be difficult.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I've gone into seasons in the past feeling confident, and we haven't done particularly well. So maybe it could be one of those where it's the other way around this year, and we actually sort of surprise a few people, including a lot of our own fans. And we have obviously got a very good and very deep squad. There's a lot of talent there. Players that were brought in January last year, you would expect them to have learned a lot from that first half season in English football and maybe hit the ground running a bit more this season. And then, like you said, the Club World Cup was a decent chance for the newer signings to get bedded in. I don't think it had fit very much sort of pre-season vibes to me, that Club World Cup. And given that there won't be much of a pre-season, then it's probably as good as we're going to get. I don't know whether the kind of disruptive nature of the summer compared to Liverpool and Arsenal in particular might work against City, and that they've kind of had this tournament, then gone on a bit of holiday, then come back. They're going to do one friendly, and then they just get stuck into the season. It's not the ideal preparation, I don't think, and maybe it will take its toll. You would hope that injuries don't affect City quite as much as they did last year. The Rodri return, as Kieran touched on, could be huge for City. What concerns me, I think, compared to our rivals, is that we don't have that cutting edge, that kind of killer mentality in front of goal that we didn't have last season, and I don't think we will this season. Haaland will score 20 plus goals, but we'll also miss an awful lot of chances. I'm still not convinced by Marmoush. I'm still not convinced by Savinho or Doku. And you look at the competitors and the options that they have in attack, and Arsenal looking at adding potentially Eze or someone like that to their squad as well. I just look around and I think they're going to win more games than we are. Ultimately, that's how it feels to me at the moment. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that the ducks fall well for City, and Pep's got a plan up his sleeve for how to approach the season. And he's been talking a lot about how it's going to be better this year than it was last year. It can't be much worse. But in the end, it finished all right. Didn't finish in third. So I think he's determined to kind of change a few things and put a few things right. He's got a new backroom staff, which will hopefully energise him a little bit more and bring some new ideas. So there are reasons to be optimistic. I just think on paper it looks tricky for City to overhaul Liverpool and Arsenal, but we'll see.
Yeah. Dom, City in third in the race at the minute for you after last season.
Yeah, I think so. But at the same time, I don't think they're necessarily going to be miles off Liverpool and Arsenal. Whereas I think they were last year. Certainly, Arsenal season last year is such a curious case. I still think like Arsenal in terms of their performances, say, against City at the Emirates, against Real Madrid, whereas in sort of when Arsenal turned up and played at their best, I thought they were the best English team. But obviously their problem was having any sort of consistency with that. And it's interesting with them now of whether does signing Gyökeres, and the Arsenal have spent quite a lot of money sort of on the sly while we've all been looking at the Liverpool and Wirtz and Isak and all that. Does that?
Who they haven't actually signed yet, by the way.
Yeah. and
they might not.
And they might not. But if they don't, they've already signed a 90 million striker in Ekitike anyway. So, But Arsenal have, like, on the sly, spent quite a bit of cash, and it's whether that is the last piece in the puzzle for them, and they end up producing more what they did in that Madrid tie, or whether a little bit of staleness is sort of set in. I know, like, I mean, they're not the best barometer, bless them. But a lot of Arsenal fans did seem to lose their mind about them signing Noni Madueke and got really angry about that. So, yeah. They're I find them an interesting case. With Liverpool, I mean, obviously, it's hard to look past them being favourites, given they won the league at a canter last year, and they've signed a load of really good players. But if the Isak deal goes through and, to join Wirtz and all the rest of it, the other way I'd look at this, David, you alluded to it, of like, you've got to bed players in. So much of what Liverpool have been good at, and I know it was Arne Slot last year, but he takes Klopp's team, and the thing that Klopp's teams were good at was really good working from the front and being organised off the ball and pressing as a great unit. Now, Diaz was a big part of that, and he's left. Obviously, you got the tragic Diogo Jota situation. It might take a while to get, this new collective of forwards all grooved to do the jobs that the people before them did. And, I mean, that defence is, Kanate and Van Dijk is a great partnership, but if anything happens to either of them, there's not a lot. So, yeah, and I just think when you look at Real Madrid's Galacticos and some of the windows PSG did, signing all the best players in the world and, like, doing FIFA doesn't always yield the results you think. So, I mean, if all the Liverpool signings improve them and they do like a 90-odd point season, forget it. But if the title's there like in the 80s, low 80s, I think that's well within the grasp of this City team, so that it could be up for grabs then. So, yeah, it depends.
Final one then. Get your drinks ready for the final time for this show. Pep Guardiola needs to shave off the moustache. No, Kieran not going for it, but Dan is still going. Dan is downing that drink. Dom's had a sip as well. So while Dan finishes, Dom, not a fan?
Moustaches are just crap, aren't they, really? Unless you're doing it for novelty comedy purposes. And I don't know, I think he's gone for a shave one morning and he's overthought it. I think.
Dan, you're clearly not a fan.
Yeah, this is Pep Linders. It's the influence already. I don't like it. Yeah, he's got in his head. No, he looks like Dr. Robotnik from Sonic. We can't have a manager that looks like that, can we?
Does it not suggest, Kieran, new tactical innovations? He's thinking of things. He's thinking and thinking and thinking. He's thought, you know what? I look good with a moustache. I'm having this.
Yeah. I mean, he mustn't be listening to the Blue Moon back catalogue and using the Harry's sponsorship or the Manscaped. Just the question was, he has to shave off the moustache. Well, I just want him to grow back the salt and pepper stubbly fluff. And if he was to shave off the moustache and just had the beard, I think that might be an even worse look.
Massive mutton chops.
He experimented with mutton chops a few years ago during pre-season. I remember there was a photo of him with like mad sideburns. So bring them back. Yeah.
I was saying yesterday how difficult it must be for some of the players. They know they're arriving back to the training ground and they might be summoned to Pep's office for a very difficult conversation about their future. And they walk in and he sat there looking like fucking Charlie Chaplin, like.
Yeah, not listening to a word he's saying because he just looks at his top lip. Yeah. Just focused on it. Any of you tried a moustache? Kieran, you must have done. You've got a fine beard.
But no. Once for Movember, but it was hideous. Like it was Spanish waiter, Diane Caterpillar. It was pretty horrific. Every time my girlfriend at the time looked at me, you could tell that she'd forgot about it, so I'd arrive home from work and she would look up at me and like double take. It's like in pure shock. Like,
Dan, you're a man who sometimes is clean shaven, sometimes is bearded. So
yeah, it just depends if I can be arse shaving or not. Usually mine, but my moustache is like very blonde, so it doesn't really work on its own as a moustache. It has to be part of a beard.
I just look like my dad. I've tried it a few times. I just look like my dad did when he was my age. So it's a firm no.
No, you sent us a picture once. You look like Tom Selleck. I think it really suited you.
I do.
Bring it back.
Dom, ever tried it?
I also did a Movember. It looked like it'd blow away in a moderate breeze. I don't have particularly sort of good or thick or capable facial hair. So yeah, it's just it's
a firm no.
beyond my capabilities.